Hello, everybody, and shalom! I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. This is Acquisitional Wealth, episode 19. Before we get started, make sure to like, share, subscribe, share, and like. I appreciate it so much. And thank you so much for all the emails from people who are out there saying, Josh, I've been listening to your episodes and my life has changed. I absolutely love that. Sometimes when you've been doing this now for 30 years, I know, this is my 30th anniversary. When you've been doing this for so long for yourself, the excitement kind of goes away. But where does the excitement come from? Some seeing other people doing it too. So I really, really mean it. I thank you for all of the emails and letters and all that sort of stuff. So, okay, this episode is going to be really, really good because we have an important topic to talk about. When I started doing these podcast series based on the book Acquisitional Wealth, which I'm sure most of you have read, right? Right? Make sure you read it, or at least get the audiobook. When I started doing this, I was under the impression that everybody should have like a baseline understanding of the different types of entrepreneurship. It turns out they don't, and that's what I want to address in today's episode. So here's what typically happens. People are working a job. They go to school, go to college, get good grades, get a job, and then they just work jobs for 5, 10, 15, whatever many years, right? And then this little idea gets in their head, you know what, I want more money. So what do? Well, they do a couple things. The first thing they do is they get involved in some sort of network marketing, MLM sort of business. It's very common. I'm not 100% opposed to these sort of businesses as a jumping off point, as a learning point. You do have to be okay with some really sad statistics. Like you have to be okay with 80% of people never making it. You have to be okay with, not believing well, every company is structured this way. That's not true. Well, those people just want part-time income. That's not true. Certainly not what they were sold. All of that's a lie. But there are some benefits from time to time. But most people get into those because it's an easy place to get into. There's safety in numbers, or at least there's a sense of security in numbers. The next thing people do is they say, okay, well, I'm going to start my own business. And they typically get involved in something they know, like, or love, because that's what they've been involved in the past, which are three of the worst sort of businesses to get involved in. And they get involved in a business where they're the main operator, which means they're going to be working 40, 50, 80, 100, 120 hours a week. And if you actually average that out, they make less than what they were making when they were employed. And they have all the stress, financial responsibilities, and legal responsibilities that come along with it. So that's where most people stop. And now you are smarter than most people because you've at least gotten to episode 19. And if you started here, go back, start at episode 1, start there. But you've at least made it to episode 19, which means you understand the idea behind acquiring a business. And I'm a huge fan of that. There are a lot of those gurus out there that are talking about it and offering, stupid, expensive courses on how to do it. And I'll reiterate this again. If your mentor is charging for mentorship, that's not a mentor. If your mentor has never met your children or had dinner with you, or you've met theirs, that's not a mentor. But anyway. But most of us go down this road. We see, okay, acquiring a business is a good thing to do. And we just jump in and think, well, I'm going to do it. Now, am I a fan of it? Obviously, I have an entire company dedicated to helping people get their businesses, sell their businesses. So I am obviously a fan of this, and I wrote a book about it. So yes, I'm a fan. But does that mean that it's right for everybody? No. So this is the benefit of not offering $15,000 weekend courses on how to buy a business. I can be honest with you. Is it for everybody? No, it's not. Now, that's not to say entrepreneurship's not for everybody. And I mean that. Every family should have entrepreneurship in some way, shape, or form. By even setting up a family corporation, you get to take advantage of tax benefits and inheritance laws that employees just have not only no access to, but typically don't even know exist. So every family should have an element of entrepreneurship. That part's still true. But what I want to focus on today is more so, what are the different options of entrepreneurship? There's three main types okay? Type number 1 is the one we're most familiar with. That's you're going to start the business. Now, this has the highest risk, the highest probability of failure. Huge. 8 to 9 out of 10 businesses that start up will fail. Even well-funded startups, like if Peter Thiel or somebody gave you $200 million to start your company, that still has a 75% chance of failure. So money is not the answer people think it is. But that's option number 1, is starting your own business. Massive amounts of failure in that. Option number 2 is what we've been talking about, which is acquiring it. And when you acquire a business, especially if it's 5 million or less, you have to realize you're not looking for that absentee hands-off business. I know that's what the other books sell. I know that's what the other gurus try to get you to focus on. It's highly unlikely that you're actually going to find one of those. It just is. I've been doing this, like I said, 30 years, longer than some of these gurus have been alive. And I can tell you point blank that in 5 million or less, it's rare. It's like finding an elephant, a pink elephant or something. But the other problem that comes along with that is you tend to be the one in charge. So you're still legally responsible. You're still financially responsible. If the alarm goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're still the one that's going in to answer it. If somebody doesn't show up for work, you're still the one that has to cover that shift. So there's a lot of stress. And you still need a high level of skill to grow and make this happen. I have seen so many people buy a $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million business, or buy one of these hands-off businesses like vending machines or laundromats and absolutely lose their crap. Like just down it goes, bankruptcy court, here we are. Because you still have to be a business person. You still have to understand marketing, negotiations, branding, selling, everything that goes along with owning and operating a business. Do you know the difference between marketing and advertising? They're not the same thing. Do you know the 4 types of marketing? Do you know how to develop sales leads? How to, do all the businessy stuff that no matter what, you still have to do. And before you're like, well, Josh, I don't have to do that. If I own a laundromat, I just have to open it up. No, you don't. I know a lot of people who bought laundromats and thought it would be this wonderful absentee thing, and I could just go and collect money. And because they were absentee completely, their laundromats became dens for prostitutes and drug dealers. And they would put drugs in with the clothes. I'm dead serious. They would put drugs in the pockets of the clothes. They would put the clothes in washing machine 4. They would then text somebody, hey, washing machine 4. And then 5 minutes later, the buyer would come into washing machine 4, pull out the clothes because they're just picking up laundry. And in reality, they just did a drug deal inside your laundromat. And guess what? Their laundromat's now shut down. So you can't just be like, oh, absentee. It doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. If you own it, you're responsible for it. Period. Now, that leads us to a third type of entrepreneurship, okay? And this one is not talked much about, but it's the number 1 form of entrepreneurship of the 1%. It's the number 1 form of entrepreneurship for people with $5 million or more. That doesn't mean you have to have that, but I'm just telling you. It has the least legal responsibility, the least financial risk and responsibility. You need no business skills in order to make a boatload of money doing it. You can make a boatload of money. Matter of fact, the returns initially might be a little bit smaller than option number 2, but over the course of time, absolutely dwarf number 1 and number 2. But here's the problem. Most people aren't allowed to do it. And I'm dead serious. Matter of fact, this part irritates me. 85% of the investable market is not available to you. 85%. So we hear these expressions all the time like, oh, well, the rich get richer. Yeah, they do. And did you know people with $5 million or more of investable capital keep less than 5% of that capital in the public equities market? Meanwhile, do you know where most teachers, firemen, accountants keep their money? Public equities market. So there's a massive imbalance, and it's not just, tax the rich and all that sort of stuff. It's really, you don't have access to better investment vehicles. There are investment vehicles that I cannot tell you about. I can't. I can't tell you about them publicly, so certainly not on a podcast. I can't tell you about them privately unless you sign an affidavit claiming you have $2 million or more of investable capital. And some of you might be astute enough to be like, well, I think he's talking about an accredited investor. That's baby step one. There's levels above that, and depending on states and state laws, even above that. So no, it's more than just becoming an accredited investor. And if you don't know what an accredited investor is, depending on when you watch this, at the time of this recording, what an accredited investor is it's a single person who makes $250,000 or more a year, a married couple that makes $350,000 or more a year. So there went 85% of the public. And or you have $1 million of investable capital outside the value of your primary residence, and in some cases outside any sort of qualified account. What's a qualified account? Well, it's any sort of standard 401k, IRA sort of product. So what that means is most millionaires don't even qualify. You read books like The Millionaire Next Door, or you listen to a particular person on the radio talking about how to get out of debt. And they love to talk about how millionaires are just average people. I don't want you to be average. And millionaires, according to their definition, which doesn't match with the financial world's definition, otherwise I could tell them about other stuff, it doesn't provide you the life that you want. The whole concept of Millionaire Next Door, really? Wait, let me get this straight. The average American millionaire lives in a house like you do, drives a car like you do, eats meals like you do. I am not a finance bro, right? You're not going to see me on the hood of a Ferrari going, hey man, you need to get a Ferrari. That's not the point. But there is an elephant in the room. If that's the average millionaire and that's what they've accomplished, and they've only moved this far above you, what's the point? What's the point? Well, Josh, they don't have the stress of debt. Great. But they don't have the enjoyment of life either. Well, the average millionaire still works 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So where's the difference? See, and that's what they're trying to sell you. They're trying to sell you on this idea that the traditional financial system works, and it point blank doesn't. It doesn't. If you really want to advance as a family, as an individual, as a single person, whatever, if you really want to advance, you have to out-earn inflation and taxes. You have to. If you really want to advance, that $1 million has to be outside of a 401k. It has to be outside of your primary residence, because that's not the lifestyle that you're actually shooting for. Now, before you email in and be like, well, Josh, what if I was smart with a Roth and I did a backdoor conversion which allows for a tax benefit? I know all that, right? I'm not trying to sound hoity-toity, but I guarantee you, whatever question or comment you're going to run right into me, I already know about that. I've been doing this for 30 years. And yes, there are some tax advantages to doing that. But as an overall strategy and plan, no. And that brings me to another point too, just since I'm on it and I got the time to talk about it. We have to stop focusing so much attention on tax mitigation and focus more attention on wealth creation. It's so crazy how many people ask me. I'm even doing a call later today. Well, Josh, how do I limit my taxes? How do I limit my taxes? And let me be clear. The reason they're asking me is because I like to limit taxes. The reason they're asking me is because I'm kind of an expert on this. So I get why they're asking me, and I'm not mad about it. I just find it interesting that so many questions come in about tax mitigation compared to wealth creation. If you make 200 grand a year and you're like, Josh, I want to book an hour of your time. I'm like, okay, talk to Kimber and see if we can get on the schedule. What do you want to talk about? And you had two options. You could talk to me about limiting my taxes or making more money. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I'll do the call either way, but you're kind of a fool if you're talking about the tax mitigation. Because if you make 200 grand a year and you pay an effective rate of 30%, that's 60 grand you're paying in taxes. And if we can limit that to $35,000 or $30,000, we can limit that to $30,000. What did we do? We put $30,000 in your pocket. Now, is that good? Yeah, that's good. It's okay. But does 30 grand change your life? No. No, it doesn't. And I don't understand why there's this focus on, well, I need to limit my taxes. Now, if you came to me and you're like, Josh, I make $200 million a year and I need to figure out how to save $30 million, different conversation. But if you're not making $200 million a year, you need to focus on wealth creation more than you need to focus on tax mitigation. Anyway, I kind of went down a rabbit trail there, but I think it's important that we focus on the right thing, because just like when you're shooting or whatever you do, if you don't know what the target is, you're never going to hit it. And too many people don't know what the target is, which is a great roundabout wrap up to bring us back to my main point. You have three types of business ownership. Number one, to recap, you start something, highest rate of failure, highest rate of liability, highest rate of stress. You acquire a business, again, huge fan, wrote the book, we're doing a show about it, love it, love it, love it. But that does still come with a high level of stress. It still comes with the financial responsibility for the loan. It still comes with the legal responsibility for the business itself. And you still have to have the ability to not only maintain a lifestyle of stress, but you have to be able to either have or develop the skill set of a business owner. And not the skill set of a starting business owner. Remember, if you're buying a car that's already going 200 miles an hour, guess what you have to drive at? 200 miles an hour. So one of the benefits, just being honest, one of the benefits to a startup is you don't really have to be that good. Now, obviously, that's why the failure rate's so high, but you don't have to be that good. But if you're buying one that's already doing $4 million a year, you have to have the skill set to keep it doing at least what? $4 million a year. And if you don't have it, then maybe option 2 isn't for you. And I know that sounds crazy because, you know, an author's goal is to sell books, right? But I would rather be honest and save you as opposed to, hey, buy my stuff and just milk you for money. Does that make sense? And then option 3, which is by far least stressful, least legal responsibility, least skill set needed, most popular amongst the 1%, most popular if you're trying to provide an inheritance for your children's children, is what I call a capital entrepreneur, where you're not the operator. And I cannot tell you more about that. I really can't. I wish I could. If you want to know more about that, we have to prove that we have a relationship. And how to do that? Well, you sign up for our newsletter, send us an email, attend a free event, and then you and I can talk more about option number 3. If that happens to be something that appeals to you more, we can definitely at least discuss it. And that does not constitute an offer or a solicitation, just being clear about that. But anyway, I hope that helps, because I've seen a lot of people. I'm going to tell you one story. I won't name the person, but we sold a business to a guy, great guy. The business is still going, so it's not like he failed. That's not it at all. So don't take this as bad. But he calls me up and he's like, Josh, now that I own this business, I'm finding that I'm having a hard time not thinking about business. When does that go away? That never goes away. Ever. Ever. Never, ever, ever does that go away. And he's like, yeah, but my wife's upset with me because when we go on vacation, I'm still thinking and talking about the business. When we're driving back from church, I'm still thinking and talking about the business. When I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about the business. That doesn't go away? No. And if that's not the life you want, and admittedly, that's not for everybody. If that's not the life you want, then go with option 3, because you still get the benefits of entrepreneurship without the stress. And you have to be able to handle the stress too. This same gentleman, on a different call was like, man, it is so stressful. Because even though he wasn't the one doing the labor of the business, if somebody calls in sick, if there's a potential lawsuit, and if you're in business at some point, you are going to get sued. If there's, a tariff change, if there's a flood or a hurricane, you're the one that bears all of that. And it isolates you. Your friends are not going to be able to relate. Your people at church are not going to be able to relate. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be, because that doesn't go away either. And he's like, really? Well, what if I become a billionaire? Does it go away? No. How many times has Mark Zuckerberg been called to testify before Congress? You think that's pleasant? To get a subpoena from Congress and say, hey, we're going to grill you on how you're disclosing information? So here's somebody who's got a net worth of $100 billion, who's going to lose sleep for a week and talk to his wife and go, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you think that at some point the money level makes that go away? No. More money, more problems. More solutions too. More options too. More luxuries too. But more money, more problems. Elon Musk is sleeping in the factory under the desk. Jeff Bezos only owns 16%. Well, actually, I think he sold. I think he's down to 13% of Amazon. He only owns 13 to 16% of Amazon, and he's still stressing about what's happening to that company. Sorry, Jack. If you're the number one person in the system, you're the one that's going to face it all, and that never goes away. I hope that helps. I know. By the time you got here, you're so stoked to get ready, and I just peed in your Cheerios. I totally understand. I kind of apologize. I apologize for the feeling, but I don't apologize for doing it. Because like I said before, I would rather save you from the hurt, or at least prepare you for what's coming, than to just pretend that it doesn't exist. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you come to a free event. If you think these episodes are fun and insightful, it's nothing compared to a live event. So make sure you get to one of those. Besides, most of them are free anyway. So just get to one. Like, share, subscribe, comment, write in. Disagree with me. I love it when people disagree, as long as you do it logically. And I will see you next time.
Hey, wait, before you go, I wanted to just clarify something from that podcast. First, I call them commerce entrepreneurs, not capital entrepreneurs. And second, in the slide deck, you will see that it says you need $1 million or $250,000 income as a single, $350,000 income as a married couple. Now, while that is true, there are let's just say possibilities for us to help certain individuals that have less than that. And that's what I was referring to, where let's just get to know each other and then we can have a conversation. I am all about opening doors that are supposed to be shut, and I am all about helping people bridge to where they're supposed to be. I'll talk to you in the next episode.